Hey guys, welcome back to Say What Reacts. We're back again with the BTS BU. BU. That's what we're back with. And we're what part are we on? 4? 5?
Yeah.
5? Crap. Hold on. Let's see.
We mixed the two videos together.
Yeah. We did no.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're on 5.
Yeah.
Just
we're
kidding.
On 5
we're on 5. Part 5, which is Epilogue, Young Forever. Yes. So we are on part 5, Epilogue, Young Forever. This is gonna wrap things up before we get into the Wings era.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be very curious to see your interpretation of this and what they do cinematically and maybe why they made the choices to do what they did.
Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So do you so far?
Yeah.
We are. Let me turn that down a little bit. Sorry. So far we are a lot of conflict, clearly internal.
Yes, a lot of internal conflict.
And a lot of wanting to help one another.
Yes.
But still struggling themselves.
Yeah, a lot of trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding,
which isn't healthy. You don't want to do that. But what I like about this a lot is that they're young.
Yeah.
And
young forever.
Yeah. But in a lot of the graffiti that we were looking at in the Japanese version of Run, there's a lot of like
Japanese version of Run is on my Patreon.
On Patreon, it's $1, bitch.
No, it'll be for free.
Oh.
But if you want to join the Patreon, it's $1. The Patreon's only $1 for literally everything there. So I mean, it's still amazing deal. But yeah.
I like that because myself, my mom passed away when I was 18. She got diagnosed with cancer when I was 13. So I decided in my family to to stand up. So from 15, which is a legal age you can work here in Florida, I started working since I was 15 to help provide because my sister quit her career, transplanted herself, brought my mom down here to Florida where we live now. I'm originally from Atlanta, if you don't know. And to me, I was like, my mom wasn't making any income. My sister became like a part-time nanny to do whatever she could, so I started working. So like seeing RM work at a young age to get it going through, and we don't know why he's in that position, and to do these like
clearly living by himself in like the shipping container,
right, and like making this decision to like do the best he can, but then also look out for his surrogate family with the rest of the boys in the band and them dealing with all their issues. It's one of those things to where once it's different in your struggles when you commit, like when you realize like, hey man, it's not going to get any better unless I put some work into it. And I think like RM really represents that. At least to me, I connect with that very much. And to see them all dealing with all their different griefs and all their different trauma, and that it's rooted, that it's not just like a couple instances, that they do a real good job of like conveying that these boys have been going through, this is their life. It's not just like a bad part of their
week
life.
Or a bad year.
Their life is shit. And when you're young and you see the rest of the world going by, and you see, I guess the normal people, like when they're in school, they got their lives together, they have things that you don't have. I'm not meaning like materially, like they have a family, they have motivation, they have drive, they're going to school, they want to go to college, or they want to do something with their life. And seeing that now, that in the back of your mind of that societal norm versus what you're going through in your personal life, all these things kind of like overlap, and seeing that we're getting into Young Forever, but a lot of the graffiti in the Japanese Run was alluding to like, you only live once, youth is important and all these other factors. And that's something that's in the back of your mind, but when reality like really sets in, you don't really think about that shit. And that's kind of like your first taste of like being an adult. Yeah. And you're never really prepared for it. Because I know, I'm in my 30s. I know people, and I've worked with people since I've worked for such a long time, that I've seen people that in your mind when you're younger, you would say, hey, I thought, you would probably be this or be that, or I would never be in this position. But then as reality sets in and you realize that everybody, you have to put in work some way.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Right.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And I really feel that that was really conveyed really well in the past two videos, and the overarching theme of not only them dealing with their personal struggles, that they're now with those Japanese videos painting a broader picture of just like, this is what the boys in BTS are going through in this tragic portion of their life, and they're young, so their future is so close, but at the same time they don't have all the opportunities that they would imagine they would have, but they're also aware enough that it's out of their control. But then you have that conflict of like, you know, we all have at some point in time in your life, you know, you have some type of resentment towards your family, your friends, or your parents at like, you know, why weren't you there for me when I needed this or that? But when you get older in age, you start to realize that it wasn't a form of neglect, or it wasn't a bias between siblings, or whatever you thought at that time. When you start to age a little bit, mature a little bit, you realize like, yo, they're just doing whatever they could, and it was the best that they could do.
Yeah.
And that can also take you down another path to where you kind of feel shitty about that, because you're just like, I gave my parents and all these people such a hard time, or I put myself through such hard times. But you know,
and sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes your parents just are shitty.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the opposite. There's a flip side too.
There's a flip side to that as well.
A darker side to that.
Right. Yeah. And I like to believe that everyone tries to do their best, but that there's like levels and layers to that shit. So like, there's a point in time where if you see this, or you watched BTS, or like if you're like me, just on my path of like healing and growing and trying to be the best I can be, there's a lot of things and a lot of work that I've done on myself. And I realize that it's just like when you have bad parents, or you have a bad spouse, or a bad relationship or something like that, at the end of the day, I don't believe people are inherently evil, even though that's not like a conversation and a commentary and narrative that people want to believe in necessarily, because it's easy to just be like, to hold on to that childlike, well, I should have had this, or I wish it could have been like that. But at the end of the day, like, I don't believe inherently that people want the worst for their kids.
Right.
Even the people that shouldn't be parents. Like, I believe at some point in time that something had happened to them. Hurt people. Your product of your environment and situation and circumstance plays like really heavy. And we see it with like V murders his dad, but why does he have so much remorse?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then from
is the remorse because of what he did? Is the remorse because of his sister?
But at the same time, like, for what we've seen so far, again, I'm not trying to jump the shark here, but at the same time, like, he also abandoned his sister too. So like, in inadvertently doing like all these things and what I thought was right at the moment, because I was sick and tired of this abuse and this neglect. But for a short period of time, because obviously there is a storyline that's progressing for a long time, and I'm sure I'll get that question answered later down the road. But in reality, where we're sitting at right now, if I put myself in his shoes, if I'm going to do that and, you know, regulate and snuff out my abuser, who I see as the person that abuses me, out of protection for my sibling, I'm not going to abandon my sibling either, regardless of what's happening. But that's just me. But that's also something that is, I can imagine, V is weighing on his mind as well too. Not just the shit that he's in, but I did this as a consequence to my action, as a repercussion to my action. But you also inadvertently.
But he's also scared.
Yeah, definitely, because he's also a kid.
Yeah,
I get that.
So it's like him leaving because he's scared and doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't want you know, her to get in trouble as well. So it's I get it.
But we live in a world to where what you do and that consequence and repercussion and your actions don't reflect that. You got to answer to that. But at the same time, I would have left with my sister. But that's just me. I'm not judging anybody, but.
Yeah.
In terms of being of that thought process altogether of why you did this, and you're scared and you're afraid, and him disassociating from what I perceive of living these happy times with his surrogate family and things like that. But at the same time, in my mind, my sister's right with me when I walk. We're figuring this out because BTS are my boys, but you're my blood, and you're all I have left. Well, as far as I can see, we're all we have at this point in time. And that's something that's.
But we also don't know what is happening at the moment. Did she go with a neighbor? Did she is she good to go? I mean, I doubt that she's still sitting in that room. You know what I mean? So it's like we don't know what's happening.
And that in itself is also traumatic. To being abused, watching your abuser get murdered by the only person that is also in your family, seeing that person leave, where does that leave me now? You know, it's just. Talk about fighting fire with fire. She's in it. You know what I mean? And that's in the back of my mind when we're watching this shit too. Because I'm just like, that poor girl.
Yeah.
That poor girl.
Yeah. Because
obviously it pushed him to where he's out here committing crimes, hanging out with the family and shit. I get all that. And that is like, you know, Lost Boys type, like escapism.
Yeah, that's literally escapism.
For sure.
Yeah.
But at what cost though?
Yeah.
You know, because now he's abandoned his sister in this moment. I'm not saying he's a terrible brother. I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. I'm not. And I'm sure that there is going to be. You don't invest this much energy in a lot of the story that they're trying to convey for our hero to be this person. You know, and I totally get that.
So yeah. That's where we're at this point.
This is wild, bro.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've had to take a lot of breaks.
He has. He's like, I need to take a walk.
Water on my face. I had to take a walk. I had to get some fresh air.
He's like, this is heavy.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, it is. All right, so we're on Young Forever, part 5 of the BU series. So let's just jump in and we'll see what you think of this one. Yeah, let's go. Oh, might help if I put it on the screen for you guys. Hello. Pause warning. If we pause, there's reasons.
But come on, man. And unless you're like super new to this, like, come on.
We're gonna pause.
If you've watched any of Anitra's videos, and
any of my videos, you know we're gonna pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it's a fucking reaction, dude. This isn't a sit and watch. Okay,
Yeah.
This is a reaction.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes we do just sit and watch because he likes to
I
absorb.
like to absorb it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then talk after he's absorbed. So some of it might be a sit and watch just at the moment, but we are gonna pause and we are gonna talk about it.
Wow, this is coming up on an anniversary here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
음악이 내리고 나는 숨이 차 복잡해진 마음 숨을 내쉰다 오늘 뭐 실수는 없었으나 관객들의 표정은 어땠던가 그래도 행복해 난 이런 내가 됐어 누군가 소리 지르게 만들 수가 있었어 작아지지 않은 영혼들을 품에 안고 집도 downtown 빈 무대에 섰을 때 downtown 빈 무대에 섰을 때 흔한 공허함에 난 겁을 내 복잡한 감정 속에서 삶의 사선 위에서 근실이 날로 묻은 척을 해 처음도 아닌데 익숙해질 법한데 숨기려 해도 그게 안돼 텅 빈 무대가 식어갈 때쯤 빈객석을 뒤로 하네 지금 나 외로워하네 완벽한 세상은 없다고 자신에게 말해 나 점점 날 비워가네 언제까지 내 거에 웃음 없어 큰 박수가 제가 이런 내게 말을 해 뻔뻔히 네 목소리를 높여 더 멀리 영원한 관객은 없대도 난 노래할 거야 오늘의 나로 영원하고파 영원히 소년이고 싶어 나 Forever we are young 나리는 꽃잎이 사이로 헤매어 달린 내 임미로 Forever we are young 내 먼저 다치고 아파도 끝없이 달린 내 꿈을 향해 Forever ever 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 Forever ever ever we are young Forever ever 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 Forever ever ever we are young Forever we are young 나리는 꽃잎들 사이로 피어 달린 내 힘으로 Forever we are young 너 먼저 다치고 아파도 끝없이 달린 내 꿈을 향해 Forever we are young 나리는 꽃잎들 사이로 피어 달린 내 힘으로 Forever 넘어져 다치고 아파도 끝없이 달린 내 꿈을 향해
So,
Yes.
talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking.
You ever seen the movie? No, you haven't.
Probably not. I don't even know what you're about to say. Probably not.
So there's a Korean movie based on a Japanese comic book called Old Boy.
Have not.
Okay. It's whacked out. I'm only going to use a little line from that movie that surmises this very, very well. So, long story short, without ruining that story, not to worry about it. It's just, not to ruin it. It's just not appropriate for what we're talking about in context. But
so just the one little line.
just to give you a base premise, a guy gets locked up in a personal jail cell, like in a personal prison. Like someone locks him up for it's a revenge story.
Okay.
And he's trapped for 15 years.
Okay.
And he gets out. They put him in a suitcase. Like they literally put his body in a suitcase, drop him on the roof of a building, and he's been locked up in solitary confinement by himself for 15 years. And he gets put into like this game that he has to figure out who locked them up, why they locked them up, and what's the point of the game and how to win the game.
Okay.
And it's very dark and very twisted. But there's a part halfway through the movie where he realizes that he's not free. Odaisu's the name of the character, old boy. So he's like running around trying to figure out like all like the little things. And the game that he's playing particularly is like they used to feed all the inmates of this prison Chinese food from this one restaurant.
Okay.
And so he ate the same food for 15 years every day.
Yeah.
So his first thing is like, I don't know where this place is, but I know where the food is, and I can figure out where the place is depending, because it was Chinese takeaway.
Okay.
So when he's eating the food, he's eating all these Chinese restaurants until he can find the particular dish that he was eating all the time. But there's a part where he's running around from restaurant to restaurant trying all the food, and he realized, he was like, I'm not free. I've now just been released into a bigger prison.
Yeah.
And like that's the line like that makes me think of this labyrinth in the middle of nowhere. And what's bad about it is that it's like chain link, so it also creates like an illusion. When you're in it, you can't see where the walls break and where it comes. It's almost as worse as being in a maze full of mirrors, because and you know that's ultimately the worst, because you don't know where you've gone and all you can see is yourself. But like when it's chain link, it's transparent, so you can see the outside, you can see, you just can't get to it. But then you can also get lost because everything like looks the same. And using that labyrinth maze idea and analogy like in their song as well too, just to keep moving, because ideally, like what I think the beautiful thing about that, or the ironic beauty, is that the maze is made of a chain link fence. So why not just climb over every wall until you're free? You know? But that's like the naivete or the ignorance of being young. So where it's like when you're young, you would rather try to climb a wall than walk around it. You would rather try to do all the things rather than the thing that's like right in front of you. Just take a moment to just sit back and just reflect and say, okay, how can I tackle this problem? Like, no, you can beat your head against this wall until, you know, forever, because there's some people that are stuck in high school or whatever forever, you know what I mean, or they're stuck in their heyday or whatever. And I just think it's like really interesting too, that how they overlap initially, because there's like some scenes very quickly where there's multiple people in the maze, but it's like they're almost unaware that they're in the maze too. You know what I mean? So it's like they even have the blinders on, that there's some members in the same maze as they are, and they're not even looking, because it's not walls, it's not mirrors, you can see. And that's what I think is so crazy about it too. And being forever young, it's one of the, like over here in America, like the vanity of youth and the fertility and the vitality of youth is such a big thing, but we never talk about the reality of youth. Of that you can, once you come of age, whether it's your late teens, your early 20s, whenever you find your independence or you try to create that independence for yourself, you have no base. Because even if your life wasn't that great, you were still a child and doing childlike things. And when you venture out on your own, you have this dream, you'll fall down and get hurt, get up and run to fulfill your dream, but you're not on the journey. You're trying to get to the future, running away from your past, but you're not really present in the moment right now, where you can look around and say, who else is in this maze with me? How can we work together? How can I ask for help to get out? Or why don't I have the intellect to just climb over these fences? Because there's no overseer, there's nobody regulating them. They put themselves in this maze, so there is no shortcut, and there's no cheating. And you could look at that way too, even though you know that you can just hop the fences and try to get out the gate and things like that. But we kind of we are our own worst enemies in a lot of regards. Like, we're the ones holding us back the most. And again, when you neglect that inner child, when you don't do that internal shadow work for yourself, that's also just as viable and valuable of information for you moving forward, is figuring out who you are today and how'd you get there, and be present with that, so when you move forward, you can be the best version of yourself. And like, there's like little things tied to it too, like how many people gave up, or these markers. I've been here before. Or is the person that was here before me, did they put this marker here for me? And there's a lot of things of like the burning of the photos and things like that. Like, no matter what, you know, you can try to distract, disassociate, and destroy remnants of who you were and what you experienced in your life, but it doesn't make it go away. And I've noticed like a lot too, like between like the feathers and the flowers
And the butterflies.
And the
feathers,
butterflies.
The flowers.
All these things are like symbols of, if you get into like signs, signals, and messages from the universe. Like if you want to get into that level of mysticism, of metamorphosis through butterflies and their life cycles. And flowers have their life cycles, and feathers are just like, you know, divine messages of birds. Birds are symbols of freedom, but also white feathers specifically are like angels, like you're being guided by something greater than yourself. And even though and like Run, where they're fighting and having the pillow fights, and then all the feathers explode as well too, it's also like everything that you have and what you need is around you constantly, every day. But what are you looking at? Are you focused on things that are not going to help you move forward in your life, on your journey, while you got everything that you need, and the people and the places and the things in your life, you know? So I find like these are very interesting, and I like how the memories that they have, or that are being presented to us through the videos and the pictures, that it's all the good times. In Run, even they were having, you know, conflict in that time,
but it didn't show that. They just showed the good times together.
Right.
Do you think it matters? We see someone leaving right now, right?
Right.
And then later we see another person leave.
Right.
Do you think it matters who the order? In which they're
I
leaving?
honestly, there's only a couple of them that are dressed distinctly enough to know who is who.
To figure it out,
You know what I mean? But I also think that, I believe personally, my own personal, like, spiritual belief, that we're all on the same journey. Like, we're all going to perceive and interact differently, but everything that happens in your life is destined. Your failures, your successes are all going to be there. We all walk the same path. We just have it planted in our mind that when we get to where we need to go, we have to determine, are we going to be content? Is that going to give us our happiness and our joy when we get there? Because that's also something that you realize as you get older, that once you get that success, once you get that career, or once you get in that relationship, or you get that car, or you get those clothes, or you get that house, when you get it, what does it mean when you get it? Because I know people personally, and I've been in that position as a young man where I started my own businesses and had a lot of things, and I get there and it's just like I'm empty. Because it's like, what did I learn?
Right.
Through the whole time I was more about the chase.
Right. Once you got it, you're like, well, fuck.
Where am I going to go now?
Okay. That's great, but...
Yeah.
The passion, the drive wasn't there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the energy lost. And that's the thing, too. Like, we're so scared to reach into ourselves and be present with ourselves. And we're scared to connect with other people. Because it's like... And we don't want to be reminded of who we were and what we have done. But just be present with that moment and appreciate who you are today because of those things. And I think that this really represents that, like,
I was going to
really
say,
well.
what do you think this particular scene with V being here, and then them all being there?
And I think that, like, with V, you know, and other members in other music videos so far, we see what's the word I'm looking for? A distortion of reality, even if it's in these dreamscapes, or when we see them present, that how they're reacting to their reality as it's happening in the moment, it's very disorienting, it's very surreal. And that's something that we all go through. Like, when you experience something in life and you're just like, I didn't think it was gonna be like this shit.
Right.
Or when you see some wild shit and you're just like, I can't believe this shit is happening right now.
Yeah.
I think this is like one of those things for him, because if you look at it, they're inverted as well too.
Right.
So, like, as above is below, whatever you're gonna go through in your life, everything is, I believe, like, premeditated, and it's designed for you. All our path is the same. It's just that route is different, or I should say, the start is the same and the end is the same. We're all born. We're all gonna die.
Right.
Everything in between is our journey, but it is still, like, subjective, but it's very much the same. Like, your trials and tribulations, your traumas and your grief will be different from mine, but we can share that we have those things.
Right.
You know? And I feel like that's my interpretation of this, to where what we know, what V is going through at this particular moment, and this has also been a big thing for V, that he has, like, this second surrogate family that he's looking towards for guidance, for security, for protection, as much as support.
Yeah.
But he is also seen that way from the other members in the group as well too. They look at him as just important. But I like seeing this pivot of those perceptions, that every time that we see somebody in a position like this, even if it's just like with one other member, or a group of them, like in twos or threes, or if it's just one relying on the other six, like, we always see that, and they never have their back turned, and that's one thing, like, I've really appreciated about
Not
it.
until he joins.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can move together.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a really cool thing.
Yeah. So many other reactors of it has interpreted that completely different, including myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you want me to tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
I was just very confused, like as to kind of why he is between the jumping off of the thing, between this, I'm just like, is V still with us?
You think? Oh, I can see that. I can see that.
Between this and then the other.
Yeah.
Like I was just wait, what is happening? Like what is actually going on right now?
And remember,
so like that's like just between the things we've seen so far. I was like, what the fuck is happening? I was like, kind of like, is V still with us? Like, what is going on? Like, what the fuck?
So, like I said, like when he jumped off the scaffolding in the run video, right?
Prologue.
Prologue.
No, yeah, prologue.
Prologue.
Yeah,
You're
prologue.
right.
Yeah.
When he jumps off that, and in the beginning of the run video, he's falling backwards. And remember, I made the comments of like, not necessarily washing away his
and it's
sins,
all dark when he falls backwards.
So it's like, because you said, you know, him jumping off of that, I called it like a leap of faith. Like he's moving forward, and I use that as like a broad
and
term.
I said freeing himself.
For sure. And then being in the water and cleansing.
Free.
But also, when they switch in the other couple videos before that we've watched, the Japanese versions of it, it shows a couple other members underwater, submerged completely.
Jimin, yeah. Mm.
And it's one of those things to where...
But it's also, he's the one that's completely submerged in black, where he's kind of turning and he's looking at the camera in slow-mo.
Right.
That's him.
And the conversation that we were having before we started recording this particular video about his sister, to where I think that when he's submerged in that water, he's taking that leap of faith when his friends, because they were supporting him. They're just like, yeah, dude, you got this.
Yeah.
And we're going to get you. Like, if you go down there and you can't come back up, we're going to get you. But that is when everybody's present. But when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Your emotions, and again, them burning the pictures, but they're also documenting the pictures.
Yeah.
In a lot of these videos, but we also see different members either burning them, or in this one, it's just a mass.
Yeah, just a bunch of them.
And it's like, think about it in that regard of like your grip of reality. Like, this time that we have together is great, but there's going to be a time where I have to be by myself.
Yeah.
And these things aren't real. Because what I feel by myself is what I feel all the time, even when we're together. So it's like, I like that dynamic and looking at it. But see, I personally, I don't, even when we watched the very first video, I never yet have gotten any type of like suicide. I never got any of that aspect.
Yeah, even with J-Hope, you're like, he's not trying to kill himself.
Nah. And it's one of those things that when life gets overwhelming and you get to like that dark place, you can connect to like with V in this story, his sister, and getting out of that family.
Yeah.
And then like we got RM, who doesn't have anything, like alone. Like he's actually just trying to figure it out and kind of being like a guide, like I said, to his brothers and trying to help them. And while they're bonding together through their grief and through their trauma, he's doing the best he can to like, let's just keep moving forward. We're present in these moments. We have these great times, but tomorrow can be better than today. But all we have is today. So let's just like keep it moving, versus all these guys by themselves. There's something that's always going to pull them back. And it's them accepting the reality and the consequences of their actions, or the fact of like, for instance, like the illusion of like medical treatment or some type of therapy through the medication and stuff like that to get them like regulated and even keeled of these external things. But at what cost? You know, am I the same person when I'm on these things? Is this really working out for who I am? Is it conducive to my survival and my inner peace and contentment for myself? So there's a lot. I like that they show all of that. That it's not funny that it's all flowers and butterflies, because it is.
Yeah.
But that together they kind of remind themselves while we're present in this moment. We got that, but they're very conscious and cognizant of showing that even though on the surface we're good, on the inside I still have to live with whatever all those
I'm
little
dealing
things
with.
are. We still have to live with that when the lights is off and we by ourselves and stuff like that. So.
Right.
But this video turned out, like, in comparison of the title and like seeing like the graffiti from the video before this, like this video wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all.
Yeah. The maze aspect of it I thought was really cool. The fact that it's chain link, so you can see through it.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
But yet they're not. They're not. If it was barbed wire, different story.
Right,
if there was a monster in the labyrinth, different story. If it was like walls and they couldn't see, different story. But it's like, it's daytime.
It's daytime. It's chain link. You can climb over this, but they don't. They choose to go through the maze. You know.
And that's how
they take the long way around.
Right, and that's what I think in terms of the journey that we're all on. Like we all inadvertently try to take we try to take like shortcuts, or we try to like better ourselves. there's only one way to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoo, good Lord. All right, y'all. That is going to be it for.
But see, I wonder just real quick before we close this one up, in terms of like the other reactors. Obviously, I'm not going to watch it because it's going to spoil me. But in terms of like other reactors and yourself personally, what leads you guys to that place?
Well, based on what I had seen, just for V.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Based on what I had seen, that's why I went to that place. Especially, it really came like to that thought process, and this one during the upside down thing. Like, why is he? You know, kind of, because if you flip that image, they're all on the ground. He's not. He's in the sky.
But if you flip
upside
that image,
down, you see what I'm saying?
They don't see him like that.
Right, I know that, but I'm just saying. Well, no, they're still looking at him. I mean,
But I don't think to them he's not inverted. I think that was just more of a POV of like how he's seeing things going through.
But
like,
that's not how I saw it.
No.
You know what
I
I'm saying?
No.
You asked about how I saw
it. Yeah.
So how I saw it based on what he did.
Yeah.
Obviously struggling with what he did.
Right.
Him jumping off the thing, him struggling actually in the water, and there's darkness all around him, and it looks like he can't break free from that water. But then at the end of the one video, he does rise up out of the water. So I'm like, I don't really, but it's all darkness.
It is,
so I'm like, what is this? And then seeing him inverted and like completely separated from the rest of them and upside down, and I'm just like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
But I've also heard other reactors be like, "Oh, they're all dead," and I'm just like, "Where did you come up with that?"
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I'm interested in.
That I don't know, like how they're just jumping to those conclusions or putting those pieces together. I don't know.
I got you.
But for me at this point, I want to say maybe I reacted to this back in 2019.
Right,
2019 and 2020. So no, just 2019. 2018 and 2019. 2018? Yeah, I started my channel in 2018. I started them, and then the storyline, I want to say like November, December.
Yeah.
Of 2018, and then I finished reacting to it in 2019 from what was out so far.
At that point,
yeah. So, 2018 is when I watched this, I believe. 2018, 2019, something like that. Hell, I don't know. So I mean, we're talking 5 fucking years ago.
Right. Yeah, that's
4.5, 5 years ago. So, I don't really exactly remember everything I said during my reactions because it was so long ago and I haven't really rewatched them.
Right.
But I feel like at this point I was wondering if V was still with us. Yeah. And I was still kind of confused by Jin. Jin always confused me.
Right.
Because I'm like, it's, we've pointed out so far, you recognize that JK and Suga have this like trauma bond thing.
They do.
You realize that RM and V, RM is like that person that's going to be there for him during his problems. I mean, at the beginning of the prologue, he's like Hyung, which means like older brother.
Right,
I need to see you.
Yeah.
We're assuming, and then all of a sudden you see all the guys coming. Like we're assuming, considering their bond, I'm assuming that was RM. Right. And then we have J-Hope and Jimin, who have some sort of maybe mental or medical thing going on.
Right.
So that they're together. The only one person who's not is Jin, who is documenting it all.
Everything, yeah.
So it's like, what is going on with Jin?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, well, that is where we're at so far. The next up, we dive into the wings. I don't know if we're going to do more than one per reaction because they are short, but man, there's a lot to them and we tend to analyze and talk a lot. So I think I'm just going to play it by ear and see like how long each one takes and if I can put 2 into one reaction or what. Maybe I will. I don't know. I might do like 2, 2, and 2, and then the last one I'll do on its own because it's kind of us then talking, like recapping what, the whole Wings era was. So maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, fun times, good times. Yay. Let's, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on all of this. What, at this point in the storyline, what did you guys think was happening?
Yeah.
Please don't spoil based on what you already know happens in the long run. Just at this point in the storyline, with just this amount of information so far, just like what Carlos, he only has this amount of information so far. He doesn't know anything else. Where were you at in the storyline on what you think is going on? Please let us know down below. Please do not spoil anything that has yet to come. I would appreciate that. Yet to come. Pun not intended, but that worked out. They have a song called Yet to Come.
Oh, okay.
I did one of the things.
There you go.
But I knew what happened. You say it, and I'm like, how are you doing this? Anyway, please don't spoil anything Yet to Come, and then then we can all enjoy it with no spoils. That'd be great. But yes, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.